Okay, at the end of the last video, I just lined up this map and this map and shown that they were identical, having used the winols compare function, and then moved them slightly out of alignment so that although these two maps are still identical, they now don't look it, they've changed colour. And the data that follows is identical, judging by the colour, because it's all black. If it wasn't identical, it would be red and blue. And it looks like the reason why they are shifted out of alignment is because here I've got a value, a pair of values once, and there I've got that pair once. But here there is a second occurrence of that pair of values. Look, it's got a twin pair, and on this side we haven't got that. So that looks why the thing has shifted out of alignment. So I've realigned them now so that 0 is aligned with 0 and so on. So by the time we get to there, we've got 8 aligned with 8. And all these values are the same. So if I go like that, it doesn't matter where I stop. If I stop there, let's say at 6,000, when I get here, I'll be on 6,000. And if I continue down here to, let's go to there, that will be 0 and that will be 0. So they'll all align up because they're all the same. They're all the same except one. Because if we look here, that is red. This is blue, but it's not so easy to see. But red is. And in fact, the giveaway on this one is I've already highlighted it anyway, because I've already turned it into a map. The reason I've already turned it into a map is that because in amongst all of these, this value is different because it's the diesel particulate filter switch. And it's set to the on position, and this is the position for the same switch in the other file, but it's set to the off position. Now it's either been switched off by somebody or this file already had it switched off from the factory. Now without looking at all the rest of the maps, it's not easy to tell, but it doesn't actually matter because we're just using this as a method of comparison. So we found an obvious difference very quick, and in this case we found the diesel particulate filter difference. So that's the only difference in this area. Now if we right click on this map, we look on here, we are given an option of transfer map, hide map, display map, change map. Got lots of options. If we go to the same one on this side, we haven't got those options. And the reason we haven't got those options on this side is because on this side it isn't yet a map. So what I'm going to do is on this side I'm going to go delete, insert K and turn it into a map. Just get rid of that. It's a map now, hasn't got a name, I've just called it map. But if I now click on it, right click, I've now got options. There we are. So I've got the same options now for this as I had for that one. Now if I go back to this one, look at the options, it says transfer map. So I'll click transfer map, and it's giving me lots of choices. I can transfer changes as a difference, a percentage, an absolute value. I can transfer all the values, just the value themselves. I can transfer no values at all. I prefer to leave this one always set on, don't transfer any values, which makes less likely that I will make a mistake. And then here I've got also transfer map structure, which I leave on, because when I click this now and say OK, whatever structure, in other words whatever properties this cell had, this one has now got. So if this one was called DPF switch, this one is now called DPF switch. So I've actually transferred all the information about that map to this one without me doing any work whatsoever. The only difference is that this one originally said that it was switched on. So it said DPF switched on, and of course now this one now says DPF switched on still. So if I open it, I open that part, DPF switch switched on. Well obviously in this case it isn't, so I'll just stick off there, so that one is off, but they're basically the same map. So I've got that map and I've got that map. Now let's assume that I've got this one already switched off and I want that one to be switched off. What I could do is I could start over here and I could just say to myself, what I'll do is I'll transfer the map, and what I want to do is transfer the values. So I don't want the don't transfer, I want the do transfer. And so I'll say OK to that. I'll be asked, do you really want to do this? And I will click and say yes, don't ask me again. So I'll pick number 1, and then I'll say OK. And now this one, this map, everything about it, its structure and its value have been transferred to here. So I've instantly made this file exactly the same as that file, and as we know that this file has got the diesel particulate filter switched off, we now know that we've switched it off on here. Now obviously this is one where we could have switched it off manually with our fingers. We could have just typed the numbers in seconds, but you can see that by doing this you can transfer something from one map in one file to another file very easily. And the great thing about it is it doesn't have to be one thing. So had I decided I would like a whole row of information to be transferred from here to there, all I would have to do is highlight a whole row of information and then go through the same process. The only thing I have to do is make sure that it is already declared as a map. In other words, I can't just send this information across, because if I click on there, this is all greyed out. I can still copy and paste and cut and paste, but I can't use this transfer system unless this is already a map. So it has to be a map. So if I click on here, make that into a map, if I then close that and go back to here, I have now got the ability to transfer this across to there, and it will quite happily let me do that. Now obviously there is no point because there's nothing to transfer, they look pretty much the same map, but I can do that. And if I turn each of these individual values into a separate map, I can then transfer those across as well. So I've now got the ability to transfer chunks of this file from here to here, or from here to here. And that allows me, of course, to do something that lots of people would love to do. And I'll come back to that in the next video.